You've probably been led to believe that changing your life requires months, maybe years, of effort, visualizations, affirmations, and self-discovery. That only after overcoming traumas, mastering techniques, and earning it spiritually will the universe finally allow your transformation. But what if I told you that all of this is an illusion created by your own ego? What if quantum manifestation is so simple, so direct, that it's precisely because of that simplicity you've never been able to access it? There is a moment, subtle, silent, yet incredibly powerful, when your frequency shifts and reality simply responds. That moment isn't born of effort, but of clarity, of presence, of surrender. In this video, you'll discover why most people unknowingly sabotage their own quantum leap and how you can activate your new reality right now. Before we continue, comment below. I am the field. I am the shift. Let's spread this frequency together. Jacobo Grinberg, a Mexican neuroscientist and consciousness researcher, devoted his life to one goal: understanding how the human mind shapes reality. While traditional science insisted on observing the world as something external and fixed, Grinberg went further. He studied shamans, ancient spiritual traditions, and blended neuroscience with spirituality to reveal a startling truth. The reality you live isn't something that happens to you, it's something that emerges from you. According to his neuronal field theory, what we call the physical world is actually a projection of our internal vibrational state. This means manifestation doesn't depend on effort, but on coherence between thought, emotion, and identity. The quantum field doesn't respond to what you consciously desire, but to what you vibrate silently. And here's the most shocking part. The simpler the path, the harder it is for the ego to accept. Because if it's easy, what justifies all the suffering up to now? It is precisely this simplicity, this drama-free clarity, that poses the greatest threat to an ego built on effort. And that's why so few truly manage to manifest quantumly. But if you understand this, you're ready to change everything. From an early age, we've been programmed to believe that anything worthwhile requires effort, struggle, and suffering. This belief has infiltrated our ideas about success, love, spirituality, and above all, manifestation. The problem is that this effort paradigm creates a mental trap. When something presents itself as simple, direct, or easy, we immediately become suspicious. The rational mind, shaped by the logic of deserving, reacts with resistance. If it's easy, it can't be true. And that's exactly why quantum manifestation remains invisible to most. The quantum field, as revealed by scholars like Jacobo Grinberg, responds not to how hard you try, but to the degree of coherence between what you feel, think, and believe yourself to be. It mirrors your dominant frequency. Yet when we attempt to force a new outcome with relentless affirmations, intense visualizations, or rigid spiritual routines, we often reinforce the belief that we're still far from our desires, and so we keep vibrating scarcity. Simplicity doesn't mean superficiality. It means the absence of resistance. It means that flow is no longer blocked by layers of doubt, fear, or performance. But this lightness threatens the ego's structure. Because if changing your life is simple, then what do you do with all the years spent fighting, striving, surviving? The ego built its identity around complexity, and accepting that true power lies in surrender deeply destabilizes it. The real quantum leap doesn't occur when you do more, but when you stop trying to force it. It happens when something inside you falls silent, when you stop chasing and begin embodying what you already are. But this shift is so subtle that the logical mind doesn't recognize it. It expects a grand sign, a thrill, a vision, an epiphany. Yet quantum reality responds to the field you hold in silence, not to spectacle. Many people sabotage their own progress because they mistake ease for lack of value. When things begin to flow, they feel fear. When they realize they're at peace, they become suspicious. Am I doing enough? What if this is just an illusion? Such doubt is the ego's mechanism for dragging you back into the zone of effort and control. Accepting that the shift can be simple takes courage. It requires letting go of the struggle narrative as a form of personal validation. It means allowing yourself to receive before you deserve, not in the sense of entitlement, but in a vibrational sense. Because in quantum reality, you don't conquer, you tune in. Simplicity is the door, but only those willing to abandon the identity built on complexity can walk through it. And for many, that's more frightening than continuing to suffer. That's why so few access real manifestation, not for lack of ability, but out of fear of lightness. Few recognize the exact moment before a true quantum leap, because it doesn't arrive as an explosion of light or a spectacular event. On the contrary, it comes as silence, as confusion, as that strange sense that something is off, even without any obvious reason. What many interpret as stagnation or failure is, in fact, the liminal space, the sacred interval between the dissolution of the old and the arrival of the new. Before a timeline shift, there is a vibrational collapse. The structures supporting the previous identity begin to lose strength. You may feel unexplained fatigue, lack of motivation, disconnection from old goals, or even a sense of emptiness. Nothing seems to make sense. And the instinctive reaction is to try to fix it, to find a new method, to force clarity. But this impulse, although understandable, blocks the very field of reorganization underway. This is when the quantum field is reconfiguring your reality, not through effort, but through coherence. And coherence can only emerge when old frequencies dissolve. This process, however, is uncomfortable. The ego calls it crisis. The field calls it transition. The ego says, everything's wrong. Consciousness whispers, everything's changing. The clearest sign that a leap is near is precisely this disorientation. What once made sense now doesn't fit. What once motivated you now feels artificial. This happens because your frequency has already begun tuning to a new reality, but your mind still tries to operate with the codes of the old one. It's like switching a radio station, yet expecting to hear the old song. Another important sign is emotional intensification. Repressed emotions surface, deep doubts arise. Fears you thought you'd overcome return with force. This is not a setback, it's purification. The field is removing the vibrational noise that prevents the new timeline from stabilizing. If you can pass through this moment without labeling it a problem, you'll notice something new beginning to emerge, something lighter, more aligned, more silent. The biggest mistake at this point is interpreting the chaos as failure. When the mind labels this space as wrong, it reactivates old patterns to protect itself, and so the leap gets postponed. But if you remain present, conscious, surrendered, without giving in to the urge to correct, fix, or make sense, the collapse converts into restructuring. You're not losing control. You're being reconfigured to operate on a higher frequency. The silence, confusion, and even pain that precede the leap aren't signs that something went wrong. They're evidence that your old identity is being dismantled. And if you can stay in this space without getting lost in the fear narrative, the shift happens, not as something you force, but as something you become. Most people believe the quantum field is out there, like some cosmic intelligence separate from them that responds to requests and intentions according to mysterious rules. But the truth is more radical and transformative. You don't interact with the field, you are the field. Your consciousness, your emotions, your internal vibration form the exact code that shapes your reality. There is no separation between who you are and what you attract. There is resonance. Jacobo Grinberg explained that reality is a projection of your neuronal field. What you experience externally is merely an extension of what you vibrate internally. This means you don't manifest what you desire, you manifest who you are. Your field vibrates constantly, whether you're aware of it or not, and the quantum field reflects not your words or visualizations, but your predominant vibrational state. You can say, "I want abundance," but if inside you vibrate doubt, urgency, or scarcity, the field will respond to that, not to your desire, but to your frequency. The field doesn't understand language. It recognizes coherence, and coherence means alignment between what you think, feel, and believe yourself to be. That's why so many get frustrated with manifestation techniques. They may shift your surface for a moment, but if the foundation of your vibration remains contradictory, the field mirrors that incoherence with unstable or absent results. Coherence isn't perfection. It's presence, it's vibrational honesty. It's the ability to sustain your inner state regardless of external circumstances. When you understand that you are the field, everything changes. You stop asking, begging, waiting. You start assuming the frequency of the reality you desire, as if you already live in it, not by pretending, but by energetic conviction. This is very different from fake it till you make it. Here, it's about embodying until you reflect. Being the field means maintaining your frequency even when the outside world hasn't confirmed anything yet. It's trusting the reflection before it appears in the mirror. This is true energetic mastery, holding the vibration of the desired reality until the world reorganizes to reflect it. And when it happens, manifestation ceases to be an isolated act and becomes a way of being. You don't manifest abundance. You are abundance. You don't attract love. You become love. You don't chase your desired reality. You align with it and let it find you. In this state, effort dissolves, anxiety loses its power, and the world begins to respond to who you truly are. Not based on what you do, but on what you sustain energetically. Quantum manifestation doesn't start with a technique. It starts with a decision. The decision to look at yourself with total honesty. Most of the time, we're not creating our reality consciously. We're simply repeating vibrational patterns that have become automatic. And these patterns express themselves as recurring thoughts, emotional reactions, silent beliefs, and sensations we no longer notice. They are the invisible filters that inform the field who we believe ourselves to be. That's why the first step to changing reality isn't doing more, it's perceiving more. Self-awareness is the ability to observe yourself in real time, to notice when your energy shifts, when your frequency drops, when your mind activates an old pattern. It's more than reflection, it's presence. It's noticing, for example, that when you look at your bank balance you feel fear, or that when you imagine a big dream you feel guilt or disbelief. These micro moments are the real keys to manifestation, because it's in them that your vibration is defined, not during visualization sessions, but in the moments when you're alone with yourself. Unmasked. Jacobo Grinberg spoke of the mental field as a real-time mirror of consciousness. What you think isn't isolated, it's coded, emitted, reflected. When you vibrate resentment, the field responds with situations that validate it. When you vibrate genuine gratitude, the field reorganizes everything to mirror this new information. The problem is, many believe their vibration is what they consciously desire. But the field doesn't respond to what you want. It responds to who you are when no one is watching. Assuming energetic responsibility means abandoning the victim role. It means stopping the question, "Why is this happening to me?" and starting to ask, "What is this revealing about my frequency?" This isn't blame, it's power. When you project your experiences onto others, the government, the past, or destiny, you surrender your vibration to randomness. But when you accept that everything is a mirror, you reclaim the lever of creation. This is the point where many retreat, because being responsible for your own frequency requires emotional maturity. You must be willing to see your contradictions without judgment, to recognize your fears without running away, to accept that many times you were the obstacle, not out of malice, but out of habit. This vibrational humility is the fertile soil where conscious manifestation flourishes. When you combine self-awareness with energetic responsibility, something changes. You start noticing the exact moments your field misaligns, and instead of reacting automatically, you choose. You anchor a different response, a different emotion, a different story, and by doing that, you begin to emit a new signal, and the field, always faithful, responds. At the heart of quantum manifestation lies a principle many ignore: coherence. Not the coherence of logical discourse, but vibrational coherence, the alignment between what you think, feel, and are. When that triad is in harmony, the field hesitates not, it responds, and it responds quickly. Because the quantum field doesn't demand effort, it demands clarity, and the most powerful clarity is silent. We live in a culture that values noise. We want quick results, detailed explanations, methodical steps. But the field doesn't operate on the logic of doing. It operates on the frequency of being, and being doesn't shout, it vibrates. True coherence isn't loud. It doesn't need to convince or prove. It emits such a stable, energetic signature that the entire universe reorganizes around it, without resistance, without doubt, without urgency. Yet this coherence doesn't arise from formulas. It arises from presence, from being so whole with yourself, so rooted in your truth, that there are no cracks for anxiety to seep through. Many people try to force coherence with excessive spiritual practices, mechanical affirmations, or mental control. But coherence cannot be forged. It can only be felt. It doesn't come from control, it comes from surrender. Imagine a perfectly tuned musical instrument. When it vibrates, its notes resonate with clarity. Now think of an untuned instrument. No matter how precisely you play the right note, it sounds distorted. The same happens with your frequency. You can recite all the right phrases, follow all the steps, visualize in detail, but if your inner vibration is fragmented, the field will receive an incoherent signal. And that kind of signal breeds delay, confusion, and inconsistent results. Coherence requires that you stop chasing the reality you desire and begin sustaining the vibration of that reality before it manifests. Not out of illusion, but out of silent conviction. It's not about blindly believing. It's about knowing deep down that it's already real. This knowing doesn't need defense, it simply exists. And this silence, this absence of doubt, is what moves the field. Grinberg affirmed that the field responds to the structure of consciousness. When that structure is in harmony, it acts like a command to reality. The brain's reticular activating system even begins to filter external information according to this new internal state. In other words, your mind and the universe start working as one organism, and manifestation ceases to be a desire and becomes a consequence. That's why the greatest power you can develop isn't controlling your reality, but stabilizing your coherence. This isn't done with noise, but with silence. Not with anxiety, but with constancy. Coherence is the state of one who has stopped seeking and started being. And once you reach that point, the field has no choice. It responds. One of the most liberating and at the same time most challenging ideas of quantum manifestation is this: you don't create reality, you tune into it. All possible versions of your life already exist as vibrational potentials in the quantum field. You don't need to invent them, only access them. And access doesn't happen through effort, but through resonance. To manifest in the traditional sense often implies something is missing and needs to be pulled toward you. That presupposes distance, presupposes absence, and this perception, even subtly, puts your frequency into scarcity. You vibrate, "I still don't have," even as you say, "I want." And the field responds exactly to that vibration. Absence. Tuning in, on the other hand, is recognizing that the version of you who already lives what you desire exists now on another timeline. That version already feels, thinks, and acts differently, and the only thing separating you from it is your current frequency. It's not time, it's not knowledge, it's your inner state. By changing that state, you change your reality's channel, like turning a radio dial until you find the right station. However, this shift doesn't come from the logical mind. You don't think your new self, you become it. This requires an identity shift. You stop being the one who desires something and become the one who lives as if it's already real, not in a theatrical act but in authentic embodiment. This is called embodying the frequency. Here is where many get stuck because they want to feel ready before they act as if. But in the quantum field, logic reverses. It's energetic acting that generates feeling, not the other way around. When you start making decisions from the new frequency, your mind and body begin to recalibrate. Your perception changes, your emotions change, and your external reality inevitably follows. You don't need to deserve this new state. You just need to tune into it. That means letting go of the old identity that waits for permission, validation, or results before changing. It means keeping your vibration stable even when nothing outside you has changed yet. It means no longer using the external world as a thermometer of your evolution, but as its reflection. Tuning in is an act of courage because it demands you relinquish control, stop chasing, and start receiving. It demands you drop the effort narrative and assume the reality where everything is already happening, and the only step left is to accept living in it now. You're not here to chase the new reality. You're here to anchor the version of yourself that already lives it. And once that version stabilizes within you, the field can do nothing but respond. Now that you understand the true nature of quantum manifestation, the most important question is, are you willing to live as if it's already so? There's nothing left to seek. No technique to master, only a state to sustain. The version of you who already lives the reality you desire isn't distant. It's merely on another frequency, and that frequency can be accessed now through your decision to tune into it. Practice presence. Observe your patterns with kindness. Adjust your frequency not with rigidity, but with intention. Return to your center whenever you stray. And above all, remember, you don't manifest what you desire. You manifest who you are when the world stops watching. If this message moved you, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications to keep receiving videos like this. Here you don't just learn with words, you align with states. And leave your comment saying, "I am the field. I am the shift." By doing so, you anchor this vibration and inspire others to do the same. You already are your leap. Now the field knows it too.